It's like all the rule following, the do-gooding. What is it for? For people to just take and take and take, and then what do I get? Nothing? I don't know, Maurice.
Let me just say, this scene was good in terms of Novi's acting. It was very convincing, and as someone who, you know what, I don't even want to say nice guy. I feel like nice guy has a negative stigma on it nowadays, since too many people use it. It's like, man, why can't I get a girl? I'm such a nice guy. It's almost like an arrogance to it. Let me put it this way: I'm like Sabrina in terms of being a rule follower and trying to be a good person. I feel like that's the better way of saying it. And this scene, like I said, it was good, but I don't think Sabrina. If you have watched the entire series, I'm not talking about someone that came into around season 4 or whatever, but I mean, if you are someone, well, then again, the Sabrina I'm talking about, yeah, she really did start acting up around season 3 or 4. Sabrina is not that great of a person. I mean, I've said it, and then someone during my live stream this week said that there was another YouTuber who pointed out that Sabrina is the most toxic of the entire group, mainly because she puts on an air of being a nice girl, and as Danny pointed out, she's keen on playing the victim. And I think one of the most standout parts of this monologue, technically two of them, when she talked about how she has to swallow her words and make herself feel small, shrink herself so others around her can be expressive and feel heard and stuff. And I feel like that's a sharp contrast to how she treats Danny when they're in a sister circle moment. Now when it's just Danny and Sabrina, Sabrina sometimes stands her ground, but mainly in benefit of Danny. Like, I really like the beginning of season 7 when she came over and she was in agreement with Tony that going to a therapist might actually be a good idea. That was one of those times where I'm like, Sabrina, oh, okay, Sabrina kind of got a backbone now, but at the same time, she's doing it in a non-condescending way because she's looking out for her friend. But when you look at the sister circle meetings, typically, let's say Andy or Karen, depending on who is the reason for the sister meeting, whether it's Karen and her thing with Zach or Andy and her thing with Gary, usually, they're saying something. It's like a moment where they're realizing, oh my gosh, I'm crazy, I'm stupid. And then Danny's like, I'm glad you see it. And then either Karen or Andy is the person that goes, Danny, no. And then Sabrina's like, that's right, let her talk. She always does that. She always does that. Sabrina isn't always the one who talks first. She basically is a follower. So if, let's say, Andy is speaking and Danny says something that is a bit, snarky but accurate, Karen will step up and tell her no. And then Sabrina's like, yeah, that's right, Danny, don't do that. Or on the flip side of it's Karen saying like, I'm so confused. Like, I don't know what's confusing, girl. The man said he don't want you. Andy's like, Danny, let Karen speak. Yeah, yeah. And then Sabrina's like, yeah, Danny, don't do that. That's what she does. And does she not comprehend how small she makes Danny feel in that moment? Yeah, Danny might not show it all the time because she's outspoken. She's smoking and drinking and whatnot. Because like, I don't even know why I'm here. But Sabrina, it's like, I don't think she comprehends, again, the victim mentality. She doesn't understand how she's making Danny feel in those moments, especially when it's not just her, but it's more than usually 2 to 3, basically the entire group against Danny. And I'm just sitting here like, well, Sabrina, that's your fault for not being assertive, but you are assertive when you want to be, when that's usually you telling off someone who is a legitimate victim and you're defending the person who is the antagonizer. Like, case in point, Maurice. Maurice is the worst, or excuse me, Maurice is the person that treats Sabrina the worst out of anybody in the entire series. Yet she will bend over backwards in order to protect him and throw away people who treat her well because she feels some kind of way about how they may have talked or treated Maurice, despite him being incredibly rude and vulgar around them or to them. So the second part of the speech I want to talk about is the whole good karma thing. And I'm like, I don't think she deserves good karma because the most recent example of her being an opportunist, well, you could technically argue her trying to use the money to persuade Rich to having her baby, or, the sperm baby, whatever. But I think Bio is the best example of, you literally used this dude for $1.5 million, but then you tossed him to the side because you didn't like how he talked to Maurice, despite the fact that Maurice was incredibly disrespectful and vulgar to a straight man with his, tendencies of being flamboyant. But on top of that, he's a prince of another country, yet he was just, bowing and stuff. And like, you don't know if that's disrespectful to someone like Bio. Yet again, you take the side of the person who is indirectly responsible for you getting arrested in the first place. And then let's talk about Paige. Sabrina knows for a fact, because Maurice told her. She knows for a fact Maurice did call corporate and did make up those lies about Paige. What was it, taking back shots and giving BJs to customers in the parking lot. So here's what has me confused about Sabrina. So she feels some kind of way about being blamed for something she didn't do. She knows what it's like to be blamed, to have her professional and personal reputation damaged, and to lose her job and be interrogated and locked up for something she did not do, aka play a role in the bank robbery. Now, she knows for a fact Maurice called corporate and spread these rumors about Paige doing these sexual things to customers on company property. And then Paige got she didn't just get taken out of the running for a branch manager, but she lost her job. And Sabrina goes so far as to say she will drag Paige out of here unless she gets proof from HR that she works at the bank. So basically, it's wrong when you get accused of something and then that damages your life, but you wouldn't bat an eye that it's going to. Look, I can understand people not liking Paige. She definitely is a Karen-esque character, aka, the real life Karen. She's a micromanager. She tries to correct Sabrina, and more often than not, she's wrong. But at the same time, Paige did nothing to deserve what Maurice did to her. Now, I believe India even said last season when she was in the one-on-one meeting with Sabrina for the branch manager interview that some employees have been, making complaints about you, like, taking personal calls on the clock and, basically being unprofessional. And like Paige was doing a bit much, but at the same time, she didn't go to the point of creating blatant lies about Sabrina. Just straight up lies to the point of it could not just take Sabrina out of the running for branch manager, but it could actually screw her up on a professional level by getting her fired. So, like I said, Sabrina will, move heaven and earth for Maurice and allow him to get away with crap. But anyone else, she will finally exert herself. And it's ridiculous. So I don't feel bad for her. Like I said, she uses people. Now, Calvin, I don't really feel bad for Calvin because he allowed himself to be a doormat in the hopes that Sabrina would eventually come around and be his girlfriend, despite turning him down twice. He was the one who continued to be available to her, to cuddle her at night or whatever the case may be. That's on him. But even Jacoby, when Calvin grabbed Sabrina at the bank because she refused to help fix his accounts or whatever, basically a customer getting unruly with a bank employee, Jacoby punched him, knocked him out. And for whatever reason, Sabrina decided to suspend him and then get him fired from the bank when he did nothing. I mean, you could argue that, okay, an employee attacking a customer, but the customer was the one that got unruly with one of the employees first. So I don't feel bad for Sabrina at all. No. Good karma, nah. I don't think she deserves to get arrested or anything, but no, if there's good karma coming her way, I don't think it's coming in. Like I did a theory on a couple weeks ago, I bet they're probably going to do the story where Rich goes to the clinic or the doctor to, make sure his soldiers are marching. There might be something wrong with him where he won't be able to give his sperm to Sabrina for whatever reason, and then he can't be the baby daddy. I don't know, but it's just one of these things where Sabrina, just give it a rest. Like, your story up until this point doesn't warrant you having a discussion about karma and being blamed for stuff. Now, I did say earlier in the season I did find it somewhat interesting that she might have something of like a PTSD experience of, man, I got locked up for something I didn't do before, and now being in this interrogation room is making me feel some kind of way. I get that. But her whole thing about, I know this is unrelated, but her whole thing about feeling close to the whole Gary stabbing and him dying impacts, I don't buy that. That's just, but then again, everybody feels a different kind of way about situations like this. But I don't think Sabrina should feel some kind of way about it. The only way I can see her if feeling some kind of way is dealing with the fact that her best friend is going through something like this. That's just my opinion. So let me know your thoughts on Sabrina feeling like a person who's always small and not heard, and I don't know. She's airheaded. What can you say? So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.